Aloha, I'm Felicia Miller Johnson, and I conduct work life video interviews with career professionals that become an all intuitive conversation. Aloha, I'm Felicia Miller Johnson, and I encourage individuals to live smart and ascend to new levels of work life success. So, today I am excited to have an all intuitive conversation with Mustafa. And so, let's bring him to the screen. Aloha, Mustafa.
Hello, Felicia. How are you doing?
I am doing amazingly well. So, you and I have never met before.
Yeah.
But when we were doing our pre-audio check, you resonated with my Egyptian sisters back here in the background. And so when you said then that you were from Egypt, I'm like, yes, thank you
Thank
for
you.
this conversation in this meeting. So I am definitely excited to
Thanks
connect
so
with
much
you
for having
today.
me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So tell me, right now, where are you sitting? Where are you at?
Right now, I'm in Philadelphia. I keep traveling the world, so I keep moving around. So I don't stay in the same place for more than 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just the way I grew up, just traveling all the time. And I'm enjoying that all the time. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So 2 months. Okay. You definitely have me beat as far as in people. My background is military. So my dad and my husband were in the army. And so we moved around, quite a bit. So when now I reside in Little Rock, Arkansas. And so people are like, yeah, I lived here, I lived there. Or like when I
Yeah,
greet people with aloha, like I used to live in
yeah,
Hawaii.
yeah.
But you definitely got me beat on the 2 months. So tell me, how did you get to that time frame of deciding 2 months was long enough and then you're moving on to somewhere new?
Well, I started very early in my life. I was lucky enough that my parents used to travel since I was almost 1 year old. So it was just, growing up with my parents traveling around different countries, whether in the Middle East, whether in Africa, in Asia. So I was lucky enough to see a bigger world when, I was 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 years old, and learning that the whole world is much bigger, and it goes beyond my country, my one single culture, or whatever. I work on that when I moved in my careers, because I work as a diplomat also. A big part of my life. I work in the UN in New York. I also work in China and in Malawi in Africa. So that also extended, my understanding to the world and continue traveling. Uh, the idea is that I keep, the ceiling keep expanding itself. And
Yes.
right now I'm in the highest level of trying to earn my freedom and get my freedom. And this is how I see my life, traveling all the time.
Okay, so Mustafa, the first card that popped up here is as you started off talking about
Oh,
your youth
oh,
of this boy here, and of course he
oh,
is attempting to pull out the sword of the stone, and so that's like the kingdom and going into the next level. And here's what it says on here: it says, "Brilliant ideas, they may need refinement. Overcoming obstacles with faith that everything will work out. Communicate clearly and concisely. Remain objective." So the thing that stood out here for me is to communicate clearly and concisely. So based off of you being a diplomat, that I would think is something that's very much needed
yeah,
in that role of communicating concisely. But it's also one of those things when you meet people, it could go either way. Like you're
yeah,
probably dealing with individuals that like don't
yeah,
understand each other
yeah,
as as well.
yeah.
And I want to say, Mustafa, that today when I was connecting with you, I was drawn to this crystal. This is a serpentine
Wow,
crystal.
wow. Hmm.
And I was drawn to this originally when I had this because it was in the shape of a heart of caring and loving. And then one day I was disappointed because I had it and I dropped it on some other cement and it broke.
Oh, hmm,
But yet I couldn't release it. Like I
hmm,
still wanted to to hang on to this. So the question that's kind of coming through is, tell me about a conversation that you had with someone that was challenging, that required for your diplomatic skills to kind of come into play.
Well, communication started as a personality, started as, I would say, a weakness point. Growing
Mm-hmm.
up as a very shy, introverted kid, all the time, realizing that, for example, diplomacy at some point was my dream lifestyle or my
Mm-hmm.
dream career. I had to work on my weakness. So if I would say, even though it's one of my strengths right now, it's still part of my personality, being that shy, introverted kid. However, I continuously work hard on turning that weakness into a strength in terms of communication.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's interesting because serpentine, this crystal, is connected with enhances ability to communicate.
Yeah.
So the fact that you said that used to be a challenge for you when you were younger and a kid is kind of interesting. So the next card that came out here talks about the theme of trigger enlightenment, but I am alone. True statement says, I am one with all that is. Dear child, which goes back to this here. Dear child, you are safe and loved as you continue on your journey of self exploration. So, as you're saying, youth of finding out who you are, of clearing that up, of
Yeah, yeah.
communication, and the challenging aspect of that. So, how did you overcome your fear or your challenges with communication? What did you do?
I knew if I wanted to be a diplomat, because before that I was a pharmacist, and in order to build that capacity to change my personality to become a diplomat, I had to learn those skills. I have to act as a diplomat. I had to learn what diplomats do in terms of, if you are in a room with a thousand other people, what would you do? You know, will you stand in a corner or will you go out to stand in the middle of the room and talk to people and be interactive? So I had to, not to fake it, but I had to act. I had to see what other diplomats do and just try my best to learn. And it's again, it's a continuous process of learning and doing. And somehow I feel good when I trick some people when they say to me, "Oh, don't tell me that you were a shy kid," or you know.
Like, I don't
So,
believe this. Uh-huh.
yeah. So I'm proud of that. At least if even if I still have it or still have part of it, it's part of my personality.
Yes.
I did it. And then again, when I moved to after diplomacy, I moved to investment banking and I work in business development.
Uh-huh.
That was one of my strengths in that new career. So my boss used to tell me, "Hey, focus on this. You know, you are very good at communication. Just keep doing this." He didn't know that communication was one of my weakness 10 years earlier, for example. But I was at least proud of that. But he couldn't see that.
Well, you should be, because the next card that comes up here is the
Wow.
theme of ease. And what does it say? It says, I have to make this work. Like, if I
Yeah.
am going to go into this career, I got to figure out a
Yeah.
way to
Yeah.
do this. But at the same time, it says true statement, I am at ease with life. And that's kind of like what I'm hearing, is that even though something that's such a challenge for you, you make it look easy. It just
Yes.
kind of flows. And the statement on the bottom says, you need to ease your grip on life so that it can lead the way. There is an outcome brighter than you can imagine. So the next thing that's coming to my attention was the yellow here in brighter and coming to your attention. So Mustafa, tell me about that book that's behind you.
This book is the result of learning the hard way how to bust several career myths that I used to live my life with and for. So, for example, the idea of being a specialist and one-time specialization. Uh, we grew up learning in school that the only way to succeed in life is to stick to one specialization,
Uh-huh.
spend all your life there. I used to believe in this. I used to believe this is the only way to succeed in life. But somehow, somebody who changed careers and reinvented himself a few times, from a pharmacist to a diplomat to investment banker to a coach,
Mm-hmm.
I could see that there is another way to succeed in life, which is being a shapeshifter. Uh, as I would love to say. I'm a career shapeshifter who shapeshifted his life several times, and I'm proud of that. So I wanted to have this conversation with people who want to change their life, but at the same time, they are stuck, uh, handcuffed by some of those myths that they still believe in. Like that one, like for example, it's too late to change. So I want to have this conversation like, okay, let's bust some of those myths first.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so I was drawn to my success desk because you're talking about all the various careers. And this particular desk is the Success Oracles, and it has individuals in it that um, we're familiar with.
Yeah.
So the person that you got up here is Walt Disney.
Hmm.
And here's what it says. Is it cute? Does it sing? That's the way you make cha-ching. Pull all heartstrings, hold the purse strings. The happiest place on earth charges admission. So, what do you know about Walt Disney? Have you ever been to Disney?
100%. I've been there. I'm a fan. I love all their work as a kid. I've been to Disney in Hong Kong several times. And yeah, he was a creative person. The creative part of him is magnificent. Actually, he's one of my I would say inspiration and creativity. Somebody who believe in a dream, has a vision. No
Yes.
one, used to believe in it, but somehow he achieved that.
I love it. So here's a little bit more about
Mhm.
Walt. It says Mickey Mouse co creator Walt Disney found that feel good sells well. Sensing the Great Depression could use some laughs, he scored again with Snow White in 1937, the first ever feature length animated film. Early business failures also taught Disney the perennial value of intellectual property. Donald Duck t shirt, royalties. Mary Poppins dolls, royalties. Goofy costumes worn by felon in Times Square, no contest. Disney died during construction of Walt Disney World, Florida, but continued his world occupation posthumously with resorts in Paris, Tokyo, Hong Kong, and Shanghai. He is survived by 26 Academy Awards and an empire that causes early onset brand loyalty. So, what's resonating with me is the travel aspect and how he went all the various like
Yeah,
places of his
yeah,
product and how his brand is
yeah,
known, and you travel and moving every 2 months. But what's interesting is that it could also be kind of a heartbroken story in the sense that he didn't even get to see his final resort
yeah,
before he had, passed
yeah, yeah.
away. Um, so with that, the question is coming through, Mustafa, before you transition in your life, what would you love to see happen?
This is a great question because I think a couple of weeks back I was thinking of that. So we were in
Mm,
a big event with Jack Canfield. He's one of my I coach with him, and in his Breakthrough to Success Summit. Somehow, while you're coaching with other people, also you get inspiration from Jack.
mhm.
And I asked myself this question, exactly the same question: a few
Yes, you
big
did.
dreams, and I think all of them are important, but that one specifically related to helping orphans to dream big about their lives, and then helping them again to achieve and realize those big dreams. It's a one big dream that I would love to focus on. And when I ask myself, if you die tomorrow, which one of these dreams you really want to see it happening right now? And definitely it's the orphan dream.
Okay. So I'm going back here, back to that first card, back to the kids and to the orphan. And it very
Yeah.
much the first sentence said, brilliant ideas, they may need refinement. So brilliant idea, wanting to help the orphans. So the question becomes, what assistance or help do you feel like you need in order to make that happen?
It's exactly the process that I'm in right now. It's exactly what I'm been reflecting on since that epiphany moment. Since that I said, if you really want to achieve a big dream, like helping million kids, million orphans in a few years down the road, you really have to plan big. You really have
Mm-hmm.
to lobby for that, create a nonprofit, raise funds. And this is what I'm working on right now, creating the plan and the strategy.
Okay.
So looking for big plans next year, raising $1 million in fund, also starting by helping 100,000 kids all around the world. And I agree with that message. Is a moment where I had to decide how to plan for that very big.
Well, while you were talking, I had asked for the energetic vibe, and I had went back because of your connection with Egypt, and you got the
Wow,
Sphinx,
wow.
silent wisdom, and the initial feedback that's kind of come through me is here is that once again the Sphinx was built thousands upon thousands of years ago.
Yeah,
And yet we have individuals that are still drawn to it. It is still standing. The whole brand and the history of these stories from back in the day,
yeah,
like King Arthur pulling out the sword kind of thing, of being there and having that big dream and that big wisdom. And
yeah,
so it's encouraging you to connect with that and continue to think about that vision and that mark of, yes, I can leave something that's a legacy, that's a bright light
yeah,
to
yeah,
helping the orphans and the individuals.
yeah, yeah.
So the next question that comes up is that you travel so much for work, and it's very much kind of like I said in this energy field. What do you do just for fun?
Well, I learned a lot how to mix work with fun,
Mm.
especially in the last, I think, 5, 6 years. So I don't travel to a place unless I have a fun plan beside work plan. I do this all the time. So every city I visit right now, I have to mix fun with work. I do a couple of days work and then an extra couple of days fun. I think I'm pretty good at this right now. I
Okay.
used to work very hard and just 100% work, but this is not the case right now.
Okay, so it's going further. But what was something specifically you did for fun?
Always looking for local places.
Mm.
I look at the culture. I build a lot of experience in staying away from touristic areas. So I
Hmm.
quickly from 5 seconds, 10 seconds, looking at a restaurant or a place. No, this is for tourists or not.
Yes, you're energetically here because the first thing on this card says decisive, focused, driven. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Exactly, exactly. And then always nature is now is one of my major happiness and fulfillment in life is to stay in contact with nature, with seashores, and yeah.
Hmm. Well, nature here, right?
Exactly.
Um, to do that. And then I'm gonna because I didn't read all of this to you. And when we go back and we talked about the serpentine, it says clears cloudy chakras, enhances ability to communicate with nature,
Yeah,
brings
yeah,
a feeling of control to your life, helps replenish your energy, helps you achieve a meditative state.
yeah.
So, very much so on this, I'm energetically here connected, going from from the young man here, having this vision and
Mhm.
goal to having that same sword, charging ahead, going forth, wearing that cap, making those decisions um, decisively, knowing that you're building something that's going to have a heartstring, legacy, future. Continue to be encouraged and continue to stay on that plan of having fun and
Yeah,
enjoying life.
yeah. 100%, 100%.
Awesome. Well, Mustafa, thank you so much for gracing
Thank you
us
so
with
much, Felicia. Really,
your
very inspiring, very interesting to see how things are manifesting itself, how my past, my dreams, my vision are manifesting itself all around you. And thanks for
well,
it.
you're so welcome. So, for
Thank you.
individuals that want to connect with you and learn more about you or all your experiences, or even be a part of your coaching or help you with your vision of working with orphans, how can people reach you?
Sure. My website is mustafaammar.com, the same as my name is pronounced, .com, or thepassionmba.com. You can find all the information about whether the orphan stuff, the coaching, or also my book.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And
Thank you
thank
so
you
much,
for
Felicia.
those individuals that have contributed their energy to our conversation. We do hope that you have been encouraged to live smart and ascend to new work levels of success. If you're interested in being a guest on All Intuitive Conversations, send me a message via LinkedIn. And you can also learn more at the website, All Intuitive Conversation. And until we meet again, this has been an All Intuitive Conversation. Just hold on, Mustafa.